year at this beautiful, wonderful place. Has anyone been here before or never been here before? How about that? Has anyone never been here before? Wow, wonderful. Well, welcome. We're so glad to have you with us. In addition to our wonderful founders, Sharon and Laura, Rhonda is going to be here in just a little bit. We do have some of the artists that are with us today. Were you gonna ask them to stand up, or can I ask them?
You can ask.
Okay. If we have artists with us that are in this exhibit, if you wouldn't mind standing up, that would be awesome, so folks can have a chance to love on you in a minute. Thank you. So the Texas Quilt Museum is housed in a building that was constructed in 1892. Everything used in the construction of the building was taken from LaGrange or Fayette County, where we're seated. We have longleaf pine floors. Each one of these columns was carved from a single longleaf pine tree. The bricks in Gallery 1, where we're seated, were baked outside, and the bricks in Gallery 2 and 3 were baked in a kiln. Now, I have been told that the clay comes from the same region, but the different methods of baking are what yield the different colors throughout the museum. Back here in the corner, we see some rocks. These rocks come to us from the LaGrange City Hall when they raised it to build a new one. They predate our 1892 structure, so we have no idea really how old they are. We just joke that they were tired of making bricks, so they put a bunch of rocks in the holes and called it finished. Great way to progress, right? Recycle. It does add to the history of the museum as well as the texture, the visual texture that you see. So it always functioned, this building always functioned as some type of a retail. In the early days, it was a mercantile. Galleries 1 and 2 were a mercantile, and Gallery 3 was a hardware store. Interestingly, the buildings or the businesses were opened by cousins. Mr. Knight had the hardware store, and Mr. Reichert had the mercantile. Fast forward to 2010, when cousins again, Carrie Bresnahan and Nancy O'Brien Quintus, who are also the founders of the International Quilt Festival, desired a location for the Texas Quilt Museum. They purchased these two buildings in 2010 and worked to have them restored and combined. So in 2011, when we opened our doors, that was the beginning of this beautiful vision. And since then, we have welcomed over 120,000 friends like you from all 50 states, all U.S. territories, and 68 countries in the world. We are so thrilled to have with us the exhibits that we have. I'll just tell you quickly about what you aren't sitting in, because the good stuff is coming. In Gallery 3, we have prize winners that come to us from the International Quilt Festival. Those will be hanging with us until the end of March. And then about March 26th, we'll have a whole new exhibit that's going to be popping into this, and it's the prize winners from the Best Little Quilt Show in Texas. And that includes the prize winner from the Texas Quilt Museum Award. So that will hang until the end of the entire show. This group is going to be going to St. Louis to Quilt Knit Stitch. So we had to say goodbye to them a little bit early. And then in Gallery 2, hanging with us until end of April, is Denise Burkett. It is called The Traveling Artist, and those pieces are largely influenced and I guess original art by Denise Burkett. She is a fabric designer for Free Spirit, and so those original art pieces that are hanging back there are pieces that Free Spirit has made commercial fabric for quilters from. So in fact, one of our wonderful special folks that are here today just became a new owner of one of those quilts back there. So she's going to take some original art home at the end of April. Excuse me. So I want to also ask you, when you have a chance, if you are interested in doing anything with the museum as far as becoming a member, this right here is information about becoming a member. Aside from being in the know of all the wonderful things happening at the museum, you also get 10% discount at the store and a big old wonderful swag bag of goodies. This is information about our TQM talks. We have 8 different topics that we run around Texas and visit with different groups. In fact, John and I, just last week, we were in Kerrville and Bernie, and it was just wonderful to be able to visit with folks and share the magic of Texas, of the Texas Quilt Museum with different quilt guilds or church groups. So if you have a need for a guest speaker, let us know. We're happy to come talk to you. We have 8 different topics. Coming up in April, we have a theatrical performance called Fight Like a Girl. It is all about, it's different little 3-minute monologues from women in our world history. It's very entertaining, and it's put on in collaboration with the Fayette County Community Theater. And then coming again in May, we have our 3rd annual Butterfly Jubilee. That is our fundraiser that we typically will do for educational programs, but this year we are raising money to save our garden. We were unfortunately struck with something called a dieback disease on our boxwoods, so we're having to replace a lot of stuff out there because it's not healthy anymore. Wonderful thing about the period garden is that the pieces that are out there were in the region from 1890 to 1930. The unfortunate thing about that is that those varietals don't live well in 2026. And so we're finding that some of the modern day temperatures and modern day conditions are just not doing our period garden very well. So we're working on a butterfly release, and if you're interested in joining us for that, we would love for you to come join us for our 3rd annual Butterfly Jubilee and release a butterfly, send up a prayer or a wish, and then help us save our garden. Also, if you're interested in purchasing a book, a commemorative book that celebrates these beautiful pieces of art, we do have them for sale in our store. So after this is over, if it's something of interest to you, just come take a look or come on over and talk to us, and we'll happily sell you those. The funds for this goes to the National African American Quilt Guild. So the pieces that you see in Gallery 1 represent the National African American Quilt Guild Art to Art Challenge. And I have to tell you, this has been one of the most special pieces or displays we've had. We've never had a full collection of all African American artists before at the Texas Quilt Museum. So it's very special for us because we're celebrating, because we're celebrating America 250, which is just such a wonderful, wonderful thing to remember. And then as well as our display happening during Black History Month, this is just something that has been on our hearts to have for a very, very long time. And so when the National African American Quilt Guild, Laura and Sharon and Rhonda said yes to us, we were so excited. And then of course Sharon came to help us with our installation back in, when was that, January. And so if you don't know this, our exhibits change every 4 months. And so this exhibit will hang until the end of April, and then we'll have another change out. But we were very fortunate to have, we don't always have the treat of having someone from the collection come to join us. And it's so very special because there are very interesting nuances that go with the collection that unless a member of that group is with us, or we don't know that, we won't always know. And so one of the things that we learned that was so impressive was the fact that each one of these pieces was inspired by a piece of art. And you'll notice next to the wall labels there's a picture, and it could be a sculpture, it could be a painting, or it could be a photographed image. But I was so excited to see one piece of art inspiring a quilt, another piece of art. And so it has just been so very well received, and the concept has just been beautiful. And for that, I completely congratulate you, because it's just been such a treasure to have with us and to just be able to share this beautiful collection and the beautiful concept that goes along with it. So I won't speak anymore because I'm sure y'all didn't come here to talk to me or hear me. But who would like to speak?
Rhonda is here.
Rhonda's here. Come on up, Rhonda.
You want to start off?
Okay, hello.
Thanks everybody for coming in. Can you hear me? A little bit closer. I'd like to thank everybody for coming in. I am Laura Marie Casmore. I'm Port Arthur, Texas / Houston, Texas. I am the curator of this beautiful exhibit. you're see here representing 23 of our quilt artists. We are the National African American Quilt Guild with over 118 members currently. We are, as people would say, we're not your average quilter. We do traditional quilting, but basically we do art quilts. As you can see, these all represent a little bit of all of us. And today, as Deborah said, we do have 6 of our members here with the 3 of us founders. We actually founded this in Cambridge, Maryland. And we went all the way up to Cambridge because this organization was founded on the principles of Harriet Tubman and her strength as an African American woman and the struggles that she went through. So we knew as a quilt guild, we would be able to do this and succeed.
Thank you, everybody, for coming today. The Guild is, we're so happy about our mission, which is to promote and to uplift the history and legacy of African American quilters and quilts. We do that by promoting creativity and, sorry, I can't read my writing here. Oh gosh, when you get old, you'll understand. By educating others, and we also have as most nonprofits do, we have a community service arm that we do community service every year. So that is where we get our joy at. Our joy we get in quilting, and we are a virtual guild, which was one of the things that came out of, what do we call it, COVID. But we are also a national guild, which means that we have members all across the country. Even though the 3 founders, Laura, Rhonda, and myself, are from Texas, we have members from California to Rhode Island. And I think we even have an international member also, but we welcome everyone, even though we are the National African American Quilt Guild. We meet quarterly right now on Zoom. Thank you, Zoom. And we uplift each other and put on shows like this. Right now, we're working on a show to celebrate the 250 years of the founding of the United States of America. So we're hoping to show that this year. So be looking for it. Thank you.
Hello, how's everyone? Hello. You look beautiful. So lovely to see you. I'm Rhonda Masters, one of the founders, one of the proud founders. I want to thank the Texas Quilt Museum for having us here today. This is very exciting and thrilling for me and for our organization. I'm a quilter and I get a lot of joy from quilting. I'm just happy to be in the company of some of the fabulous artists in our quilt guild. I'm kind of more of like the organizer, behind the scenes type of person. And I know when we started talking about founding the National African American Quilt Guild, it's something that we had talked about for years. And not just us 3, but different friends. And we would always say, you know, oh, I wish we had this information. I wish we knew where other, at shows were. I wish we knew how we could get this person to come to our guild to make a class or come and visit and have a class. So we all went to a conference, I guess back in 2017 in Lawrence, Kansas. There was an African American quilt conference. And many quilters, African American quilters from across the country came, and we met Faith Ringgold was the keynote speaker, and then Marla Jackson was the organizer. But anyway, as what happened was an outgrowth of quilt organizations, little pockets popped up around different places in the country, because as far as I know, that was the only meeting where African American quilters had gotten together. That was like the first time. And so people met, you know, from Rhode Island, like you said, from Rhode Island to California, Tennessee, Louisiana. And so we just said, let's start something. And Sharon alluded to COVID, and we said, well, and then we met a lot of people, and they said, well, I don't really have a quilt community, or I just quilt by myself, and I just, you know, I show my pieces to friends or something. One lady, I went to her house and she opened the closet, all these beautiful quilts just got falling out on the floor, just beautiful quilts, and just with using every technique, using every type of fabric. We said, y'all, we need to do something. We need to, instead of just talking about, you know, our need for an organization, because like I think Laura said, we do quilt a little bit different. We got some little different stories to tell, try to put another little perspective onto things. And so that's kind of the origins of how we got started. And we're an open organization. We're open to everyone. There's a lot of groups doing great work nationally, but you know, we're open to everyone. If you find us and you want to learn about African American quilting, we've got some wonderful people who can show you and share techniques and share information. So we're just thankful to be here and thankful for each one of you today to come out and visit with us, and we look forward to talking with you some more. And I never read a microphone out in
I just want to talk about our motto. It's celebrate education and service, because we celebrate the African American quilters. We celebrate them by going out and promoting their heritage of quilting, being proud to be a quilter. We do education by informing the public and our members about different quilting techniques and things like that. And our service is, we have put together our first project was a Harriet Tubman quilt. We followed a manual of stops that Harriet Tubman had made and had, I forgot, it's like 30-something quilts, there's 30 stops. And so each quilter made a block. We put that quilt together, and the Harriet Tubman Museum in Cambridge, Maryland goes around promoting with that quilt. So we are traveling. Our next endeavor was Souls at Sea. Out in Maryland, they do a pilgrimage yearly where they go out and they do I guess like a blessing of the sea for the slaves that was lost at sea. So we put together a quilt of African American slave ships that was coming this way, gave it to the museum to do what they want to do. That's our service to the community. We're currently getting ready to do a project for the MD Anderson Ovarian Cancer Project. We've also did a project of angel babies. In Houston, Texas, there's an organization that they will, when the mother goes to have her baby and comes home without a child, they give a project, and it has a little small quilt in it. So we made almost 300 little baby quilts to give to that project. So we're about service, we're about promoting quilting, be it African American or whatever, because we love fabric. So whatever it is, you know, if we can do of any service, we can. One of our other projects that we also have on the pipeline is we were at a retreat and we ran into some bikers. And they were getting ready to do a bike where they raise money for the veteran bikers that have lost a limb or whatever. So that's one of the other projects that we will be doing, is finding out a way that we can support that endeavor. So we love to do, as I said, celebration, we love to educate, and we love to do service.
Anything else? Well, okay.
The non-talk has the mic. So this exhibit came by way of, I was in another organization, and they did an exhibit. It was a twofold thing. They were trying to raise money for artists, local artists, as well as for the quilters. So they paired us up together, and we got with an artist, picked a picture, and made a quilt. So that was back in the Golden Triangle. And my quilt over here, the church scene, evening service is by way of that exhibit. So I brought it back to the National African American Quilt Guild. Let's do this. So as you can see, the little picture, as Deborah said, by it is our inspiration. The challenge was to take whatever you wanted to take and make a quilt out of it. You know, be it a sculpture, be it a drawing, could have been your own personal picture, because we do have some personal pictures where quilts were made from them. So that is our art to art, from brush strokes to fabric. So we hope that you guys have enjoyed looking at the beautiful work. It is as I must say as the curator, a beautiful exhibit. Very beautiful, very different. Most people, when they see it, they go like, wow, you know. And then if you read our inspirations, we want to invite you to please at least read our artist statements and read what we were thinking when we put this together. It's pretty much what we do anytime we are quilting. Most of the time I tell people I quilt from the heart. So I may see something I'm making, but I'm gonna make it from my heart. So, and that was the inspiration that went into all of this. I represent all 23 artists, quilt artists here, and this is all from our heart.
Any questions before we talk about some of the pictures?
Do you think that, are you trying to work on getting an exhibit at the Houston show this year? Yeah.
Yes, that is the exhibit that we're working on right now. We put a challenge out to our membership in November because of the 250 years of the founding of the United States of America. And so our exhibit will be America 250 Years of Trials and Triumphs, the African American Experience. And so we, of course, you know, we have proposed an exhibit, so we are hoping to have that exhibit. But if it is not to be at the Houston International Quilt Festival, then we will have it somewhere else. It's just not meant to be there. But it will happen. Yes.
I have two questions. When you mentioned the Harriet Tubman Museum in Cambridge, did you mean what I call the original museum that's downtown, or are you talking about the National Museum?
Well, what happens is in Cambridge they have a bypass book that talks about that has the stocks that Harriet made, and so the quilt was actually donated to the little museum downtown. The quilt has been shown at the big museum also. I think it spent a couple of months over there, and it has traveled around Maryland. And I think both locations have various things that they've made from the blocks, from the quilt pictures. They have postcards, they have blankets and mugs and other things that they use as a fundraiser. So, yes.
Thank you. My second question was, how long did this particular challenge go on? Because some of these quilts are quite large. So I'm just wondering how long the artists had to work on them.
You know, I can't remember, but I think the artist was saying that we gave him a short time.
I think it was April to July or May to
It's
July.
like 2 or 3 months. It was short. It was a short time frame. Normally, and that's really about an average of a quilt challenge, because if you give somebody too long, they may not make it. You know, let the backs be against the wall. Let them be challenged. That's what it's called, a challenge. So then you go on. So yes. So and it's surprising, because a lot of times when we tell people that these quilts were made last year, they're like, what? Yeah. They were all made last year and in that short time frame. Question?
I noticed that some are for sale, and how do you know which ones aren't?
The museum director has the list of art that is for sale, And I'm not sure if they have any indication on them which ones are for sale, which
Yes,
can
it
tell
says
you which
available
ones.
for purchase on the wall label, and then we have the price list. We have the price list on the store, and we have also one at the front desk.
So if it's not on that list, then it's not.
But that's.
If it is not on the write-up that it is available for sale, then it's not for sale. But if you have a piece that you're interested in, we can always get in touch with the artist for you. I mean, I don't know what else to say. But we can.
Stranger things have happened. We've called artists before and they've sold them, so it's just a matter of asking.
Right. You can always ask, and you can always say no. Any more questions? Yes, Deborah did. Yes. Very good. Well, sir,
So when quilting, and this is, I'm a novice at this, pretending, so do each of you have a different style, and has that conflicted with what your decision is on how to do a project? When you're doing a group project?
well, I think that everybody has their own style, and yes, I mean, I do all kinds of quilts. I do mini quilts, I do medium quilts, I do bed-size quilts, I do traditional quilts, I do art quilts, I do vintage, I reproduce vintage quilts, I repair vintage quilts, so everybody has their own style. I don't know that it conflicts with anything. I try to take everything that I know and put it into whatever I'm working on.
You're talking about our group quilts?
Correct.
Specifics go out. We'll say the size, and like for the Harriet Tubman, we gave a picture and we said, make it your own.
Okay.
So they were in that range, but that block had to come back in that size
Okay.
to us, you know. We want a particular color or something, we say, but here, the sky was the limit, because the sky was the limit for them to pick whatever they wanted to do. We did have a size, as you can see, we have different sizes. Some met the limits, some didn't.
They overflow with community.
Yeah, some went huge. But, you know, it's all good, as you can see, it all merges together. It looks good, you know, but when we're doing a quilt we're putting together, they have to come within that range, you know, but pretty much they're open to whatever they want to do with it.
Sorry, I misunderstood your question. Yes, there is a specific size when we're doing a collaboration of a quilt, because we have to be able to piece that quilt together. And so we can't have random sizes, and some you have to maybe cut down or something, or add to a little bit, and that's okay too. A question in the back?
I was just wondering if the artists who are here are gonna talk a little bit more about their pieces.
Yes, they can do that, and we can do that starting now, if you'd like. Michelle Silliman is here, and Michelle, would you like to talk a little bit about your piece? Yes.
I'm one of those.
Oh, sorry.
Either one. This is our
Sorry.
quilt. It's titled Butterflies in Bloom. And the piece that I use as inspiration, a coworker of mine lived in India, and her daughter, Dia Rajesh, was 9 years old, and she drew this picture and wanted her mom to send it to me so I could see it. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, I want to do that for my challenge. And so, of course, I had to get her permission. She was extremely ecstatic. And so then I took what she drew and created, and as Shannon and Laura said, we quilt from the heart. So I started with the flowers, and then it just went from like, I don't know how it ends up like this, but that's what it ends up like. And I love butterflies. So butterflies, I was excited to hear about the butterfly release. So most of the time, a lot of my quilts will have butterfly on it. And then as she talked about purchasing the book that has our quilts, it also has a story of the quilt. And so Dia's name is in the book. So I sent the book to India for her to have, and she was excited because she's an artist that's published in a book. Thank you.
two quilts in this exhibit, and this is one of mine. My inspiration was a mask that I saw, a wooden replication of a Benin mask. That's an artifact that was in the African American Museum, and I love the mask, and so I took a picture of that mask, and so I was like, I can use a mask for this. And so this is my interpretation of the mask. I used some metallic fabric because the metallic fabric and then a sort of ivory colored fabric because the Benin masks are famous for bronze masks and also ivory masks. So that was my interpretation. I found that fabric years. It had been sitting in my stash for years. As quilters do, we just find fabric we like and we keep it. And this was the perfect opportunity to use it. And so, and also they have coral beads, which is it's something that I did, my research behind, and so that's my interpretation of that. And my second quilt is way down here. As I walk to it, I'll say one of my favorite recording artists is recording artist B. Slade, and he is someone who talks about Afrofuturism a lot. And so I reached out to him and I said, I would love to, because you're one of my favorite artists, I have this challenge just on a whim. I said, I don't think he's gonna do it, but I reached out and I said, well, do you have a picture that I can use as inspiration? Just surprise me before I just go and snatch a picture off the internet. He sent me this picture and I was like, oh my goodness, well that's gonna be a challenge. And so this is my interpretation of the picture that was sent to me, and I really had fun making this, and it's called Multidimensional Futurism because he is a multidimensional artist. He not only sings, he sings in multiple genres, gospel, pop, rap, R&B, and then he also is a dancer, a choreographer too, and futurism, the theme of space and the African print around, and so that was my
the picture down there is my original interpretation. I reached out to an artist for the painting, and he said absolutely not. So I made my own painting. So I painted the original picture, and then I made this quilt from that original painting. And so it is called Clairtendency, and what I did was I wanted the lady is reaching out to touch. And basically she is reaching out to touch to get the feeling of you to be able to touch and feel and understand through touch. And that was just the silvery moon, and the deities around are some fabric that I had in my stash. And I wanted to use it, so I put those in that to use those as just deities around on the picture. And I made the dress again, some more fabric in my stash, and I just made her dress and made her from that dress. So that's just how I wanted to put her, and made a silvery moon, and I used beads and everything to embellish.
Really is that well and just like that, laying of the fabric.
I was just more, I just wanted to make her come away from the background of the picture. Yes, I wanted her to be more lifted so that she can be more like she's coming towards you rather than being a part of the background of the fabric. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Did you do your own jewelry?
My cousin.
waving your phone.
Yes, well, one of the things as you're listening to the artists, you'll notice that they're either using their own pictures or they are using pictures that they have permission to use. And that is one of the things that we as artists make sure that we do, that we try to adhere to the copyright laws, and that we make sure that we give people credit who participated on your quilt. That's one of the things that is important, very important in the art world, and especially right now. Quilt, if you designed a pattern, if you quilted on the quilt, if you drew the picture, if you took the picture, anyone who participated on your quilt should always receive credit. Okay, so with that said, I'm now going to talk about the quilts that I did. On the right, the third quilt over there, the lady who is writing, the quilt is called The Writing Lesson by Morris Schulman. It was, we think it was painted in 1943. The picture is out of copyright right now, which means that I was free to use that picture to reproduce it as I interpreted it, not to copy his work. But the picture really inspired me when I saw the picture, because it reminded me so much of our ancestors and the sacrifices that they gave to help the families at that time. They I'm not getting the word. Anyway, they did not seek their own education for helping the family. And so you see an elderly lady learning to write at an elderly age. And I tried to reproduce the picture as much as I could. And I was actually surprised myself at how it turned out, because I just don't see myself as being that much of an artist. And I think Kimberly spoke about how we somehow always have the right fabric. I call it preparing for the future. So we have this stash of fabric available to do what we need to do in the future. And so we kind of pick up fabric here and there and everywhere. And I used to worry about it a lot, but I don't really worry about it as much anymore, because I know that there's a project waiting for that fabric. I just haven't got to it yet. So the other quilt that I created is the postage stamp that you see in the front. I think Deborah's pointing to it. It is the Emancipation Proclamation stamp. That stamp was issued in 1963, I think August 16, 1963. And the most important thing about the stamp, not only was it in the year that the Emancipation Proclamation was issued, but the change represent the unchaining of the souls based on the Emancipation Proclamation. But also the artist who designed the stamp was Steve Ogden, and he was the first African American to actually create the art on a United States postage stamp, and that happened in 1963. So that was very important. I had always wanted to do a postage stamp quilt, and did a lot of research, of course, and also learned that most postage stamps today have a copyright, I think, after 1975. So that was from 1963, again, adhering to the copyright laws.
Sharon always has the best, most interesting research that she, I don't know where she, comes up with things. I'm just, what? But, in talking about postage stamps, we would be remiss if we did not mention, and maybe y'all already mentioned it, but I will wait.
No.
But the Harriet Powers, the U.S. Postal Service is releasing, I guess it's the Black Heritage, in their Black Heritage collection, the Harriet Powers stamp. And we've been all excited about it on the internet, and in our group today is the release date. And Harriet Powers, I think, is the oldest African-American made quilt in the United States that we know that was made by an African-American
Being held at the Smithsonian.
person. Okay, it's being held, and she, maybe there's 2 or 3 of her quilts. Thank you. Yes, please. I know there's a couple. She has 2 of her quilts have survived. Maybe if you know any more factual information that you'd like to share. But one is the Bible quilt, and and she has another one that's beautiful. So you might want to look her up, Harriet Powers. And since it was on the postage stamp thing, just a couple of things, and I'll just quickly talk about my quilt. But ma'am, you had asked about when we made the quilt for the Harriet Tubman Museum. And Laura, I was just reading about this, so I know. It was 45 stops on the 45 stops on the Maryland Underground Railroad byway. And it's a publication. It's the Department of Transportation for the Tourism Department for Maryland. Because I was like, when I saw that quilt, I was like, this quilt needs to go on the cover of the next publication. But we did produce the quilt, I think it was 6 feet by 9 feet, and it showed in each stop that was a known stop on the Underground Railroad, whether it was, the country store or a particular church or the particular crossing at the riverside. And so the book had a description. And then we put it out, and then each person who wanted to make a block or blocks, they picked whatever, and then it was up to them with their artistic interpretation how they were going to interpret it. You didn't have to copy it exactly, but, and the gentleman asked about, do we have conflicts sometimes when we put together a project? But there's room enough. We try to leave room to give you some guidance and some direction, but also keep that room for creativity so that you can not go wild, but you just let your imagination run free, and then you just really reap the reward, because you get something you say, oh my God, I never would have thought about that for the store, or for the river crossing, or you never know how people's minds work and the different techniques that they employ to come up with something. And that was the 50th anniversary of the little Grace Street Museum, was the Harriet Tubman the Harriet Tubman Educational Center. It was their 50th anniversary, and of course that's the community-based museum, not the big, not the National Museum, but like Sharon said, it did the show at both places, and we were delighted to give that to them, and they were excited to receive it, and had it on display, and traveled around up and down the East Coast to other Harriet Tubman museums and other places there. So we're just honored by that association. My quilt is the very thank you. There's my little quilt, and like I said, I just get tickled to be in the presence of some of these ladies and the incredible work that they do. And I'm just trying to, how can I be in it too? But I just enjoy trying to make an artistic interpretation. The artist, the young lady that I took my inspiration from, she's a painter. And I met her at a vendor fair in Houston, a lovely young lady. She had her art work out. And so I was just talking with her and told her I was a quilter and what we were doing. She was so excited. She was about, maybe 30 years old. Wow, oh my gosh, you're a quilter? Do people still quilt? And so I said, yes, we're an army out here. There's a lot of us. I said, if you'll let me, I want to try to do a little interpretation of your work into fabric. And so she was just so delighted and excited, and that's another thing I like about the art to art, that we did get to meet. People had however you chose your art, but some people had encounters and met artists. I went with you and you met the gentleman who had and painted the beautiful church picture. So, and just making those connections among other artists too was also great because they thought, well, I never would have thought to put my work into fabric or, you know, or, oh my gosh, quilters, y'all still, they're out there, you know, so just any chance to put our work out and also to lift another artist up and to help them to highlight their work as well. So it also made it very enjoyable, a wonderful experience. And the last thing I want to say too, also, one thing I'm so proud about in our organization is that we have a lot of first-time exhibitors or people that haven't exhibited a lot. That was, again, one of our inspirations because we said, well, you know, in Texas, we don't have, this was kind of 5 years ago, we don't have that many quilt shows or opportunities to come through where we can show our quilts. And so a lot of our quilting friends on the East Coast, they have, it seems like every time you turn around, there's a quilt show or there's an art gallery or there's, you know, they have a lot more avenues in order to show their work. And so we said, well, if, you know, we can go out and search for places and see if people want to see our work and show our work. And so we have a lot of first-time exhibitors, and we encourage our quilters to come out and show their work because a lot of people feel like, no, my work isn't good enough, and they might have the most beautiful things that you haven't seen, or they've been turned off by exhibiting in the past or something. So that's just something that excites me, and I feel like a proud mama when I see our quilters, and then I see, you know, their excitement and their joy too when they get to show their work. So thank you all for appreciating it and coming out to share with us today.
One of the things I want to just show, this is my piece over here with the three ladies, and just a little bit about how we quilters work together. I happened to be in Fayetteville, North Carolina at a retreat, but I brought my template. I brought my template in. One of our quilt artists I was at her house, and I said, this is my work. I said, but I gotta do it. She went, every piece of fabric you see on that quilt is from her stash. I put that quilt together at her house one night. I already had my template, so I knew the pieces, and she said, use this fabric. How about this fabric? I never thought I would use faux leather. She said, try this, Laura. I said, okay. And I was like, I'm thinking I'm just gonna do some brown fabric. I tried it. This is Sister Sis. It represents the love of three sisters and the love of all of us women. And I give tribute to Yolanda Cofield for her fabric. So we share. We not only share our knowledge, our skills, and our abilities, we also share our stash. We also share our stash with each other. So do we happen to have any more questions?
Do you ever accept commissions?
Accept commissions as far as what?
To create for someone?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
We do individually.
Why?
Yes, yes, we do. I think all of the quilt artists sell. You know, we might not sell everything.
Yeah.
Some things we keep, but a lot of things we do sell. And some create to sell.
Okay.
But yeah, but we do take commissions, and we, you know, as they said, talk to us. We might not have wanted to sell something, but we may sell something.
Can someone approach you if they have an idea that they would like?
Well, you know what, that's an individual thing, because I tell people, when you tell me, I create from the heart. So for me, when you come and tell me you want a blue quilt, a red quilt, you have taken my creativity away now.
No,
So you may tell
to give an idea, just say, this is something I have in mind,
Yeah,
I would like.
yeah,
And
yeah,
For the
that's fine,
deal.
but then you let me be the creative
Yeah.
force with it. Yes, yes. That works, but the whole thing is, we just don't want nobody coming in pinpointing, do this, because we're not cookie cutters, as you can see. We're not pattern creators, we have made quilts from patterns, but we create, we're quilt artists in this day and time. We are the National African American Quilt Guild, celebrating our 5 years in November of this year. We thank everyone for coming out. Is there any more questions? Okay?
The Sunday morning breakfast club, I was driving something I had for a party now. Is that one, is it when?
That is hand quilted. That is for one of our members out of Brooklyn, New York. That is Natasia's quilt, all hand quilted. And everything is by hand. That's Natalia. She's out of Brooklyn, New York. She is one of our new quilters, new to exhibit. Yes. Oh, I talked about my quilt. As I said, that quilt there was the inspiration for this exhibit. When I met the artist in my hometown, John Manuel, he said, oh, he wanted me to do this, and I put that picture, I'm talking about the church scene right up here, that picture spoke to me. So I tell people, when you look at his work, the sky is bright. My sky is dark, so he calls his morning service, I call mine evening service. Because as we grew up, we went to church at nighttime too. You know, you went to church all day long. A lot of people went to church in the evenings. So that is my tribute to evening service. And if you notice, I have a couple going to church. I have families going to church. His picture, he has individuals. But as a family, we as African Americans, we're family oriented. So we go to church together. And that is evening service. Question?
Yes. If we're interested in joining the National African American Quilt Guild, what do the steps we need to take?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Let me do my publicity now. I am also Laura Casmore, the current president of the National African American Quilt Guild. We take memberships by going and getting your membership out off our website, www.nac.org. You can fill out the form, send it in to us. You can mail it in to us, or you can just send it in to us and we will invoice you the membership fee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions? All right. Well, and here comes Vanna.
How awesome was that?
Oh my gosh, this is such a treat all around, and just to have the artists here to tell us about their inspiration. Gosh, goosebumps.